Hello again, and welcome to the magical game. This video is about you. Like in the prophecy, this is about you, the player in the magical game. And so, it's been a minute. I didn't go all Jumanji, but we are going to go Mrs. Doubtfire in a little bit. But updates come later. First, let's talk about you, because that's what this video is about. All right, so the whole objective, the central objective of the magical game is to help you to become the best magic user you can be. Now, that's going to be in large part defined on you and what you decide that actually means. Because my idea of what the coolest magic user out there is probably not going to match up to all of you. So that's something you'll want to think about, because as we get into the actual playing of this game and games within it, you'll want to create some kind of a character. And think of it like creating a role-playing game character. And they'll have some kind of qualities, some kind of a story, and that will inform your quests and how you shape the narrative going forward. Now, I'm going to be releasing stuff so you all don't have to come up with your own narrative, but it's just the idea, the main overview here. You're going to want to pick a character type and have a sense of what it is you want to achieve in your life, in your where do you want to lead things to? What do you want your world to look like? So, in this mode, this idea of becoming the greatest, the best magic user that you can be, that also has to mesh into this world that we're in. And this world is one of constant change. And while that's always been true, it certainly seems more true now that there are some certain things that are shifting about. And so in a changing world where industries are changing and technology is changing and everything else, okay, well, what do you do? How do you build up your treasure in a world like that? And my suggestion before has been that you build it up in the form of superpowers, largely. And so this game helps you to develop those superpowers. But what are those? I mean, they could be any number of things. They could be reading cards, tarot cards, or playing cards. They could be Reiki. It could be a martial art. It could be, so it doesn't have to fall under that main, what most people would think of as magic all the time, because you're going to have big goals, and then you're going to have little goals that meet up together to sort of create that outcome that you want. And so when it comes to, look, so you can look at the suits and take those as a way of mapping out what it is that you want to do. Now, the idea of superpowers, as I've described it, is you're kind of going through this process. You're repeating these things and getting good at them. That's the clubs part, the work, like hammering or drumming. And that's something that happens over and over and over again. And you get good at things by doing them. And there are going to be like little accelerated learning tricks and things to get good at them faster. But the idea is doing the work and having it be something that creates a quality in you that you then carry wherever. Because it's nice to generate lots of wealth, but it's even better to generate the ability to generate wealth. Massive charisma, sales skills, or influence, or just very or massively good luck. So you get the idea that there are these qualities using the magical game and magic to change qualities about you so that you produce prosperous outcomes wherever you go. that kind of idea. And it's also the idea of living in a magical world, both recognizing the magic that's in the world and also adding your magic to the world. It's like a big art project. We're the artists. Whether they like it or not, we're here. We're still here. All right, so when you look at the suits, you can say spades being the suit of challenge. That's going to be probably like a big goal or something that is sort of harping on you, hounding you now. The idea of my big goal, me and my wife Sharon, we want to set up our permaculture homestead. Feels like a million years ago we got the certificate, but we're still working on getting the house, and that can be really interesting in an environment where housing markets are kind of like all weird. So that's a big goal. There are all kinds of things that support that goal, like white rabbit hypnosis and having that business be more predictable or produce more money or whatever, right? But that all fits under this game, and in fact, that came from the game anyway. If you've seen the videos, you already know. So, spades, your big challenges. Is there something that's bothering you right now? Something that's a problem for you? You want to quit smoking? Are you procrastinating? Are you trying to learn Nokian magic, and you're a big challenge for you or whatever? That's spades, okay? What are the big challenges you're going to face in your life? That's going to be determined on what kind of a magic user journey you're on. And so, hearts. How are your relationships? How are your emotions? I categorize hearts as where, in this system, where magic comes from, because I think it comes from the same place as art and feelings and things like that. Okay, so look at that area of your life. What do you want that to look like? What kinds of habits? Moving on to clubs now. What kinds of habits would naturally create the person you're becoming, that you want to become? That next level version of you. What habits do they already have? Or what could you build as a habit that would have that outcome be a natural unfolding of the process of those habits? So going back to the martial arts example, that would involve conditioning, stretching, exercising, things like that. It would involve drills. It would probably involve sparring and all those kinds of things. And all those could be little challenges, little clubs activities that you do over a period of time and get better at and integrate. And as you integrate them, they're less of a challenge. You don't have to think about it because it's automated. And that is where traits, or where these behaviors become traits that you have, and you're now closer to being that character, right? Okay, so the idea here, so diamonds. So we go on to diamonds or coins, depending what kind of cards you're playing, discs, but diamonds are stuff, money, rewards, things, material things, or titles that are earned and frozen. That kind of idea. It's things that are done. It's completed things. So in this game, that's going to show up in the form of cards and dice and coins and things that you get that give you in-game powers and things like that. And it's also going to show up in the form of things that you designate as prizes for yourself when you achieve the goals that you achieve. And they don't all have to be expensive things. I would recommend that if you're talking about material things, have sort of a spectrum. And if you're going to do something that costs a lot of money, maybe the goal that you associate with achieving generates some money. So you're not working against yourself, that kind of idea. So mine might be anything from like blank cards or a pack of Sharpies or one of my favorite things is a berry blast from Naked Juice. I love that thing. It's an expensive juice, but it's my luxury drink. When I finally finish this video, which I already shot today, but it was all grainy, um, I'll drink one of those. I've been waiting. It's not just getting these to you that matters to me. I want that, and so those are diamonds. But in terms of the character, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your material life to look like? And I'm not saying you should just like, shoot for the stars and that. I don't know. That's not for everybody. How many cars do you? I mean, how many cars do you want, or houses, or whatever? I mean, I don't know. You can only drive one car at a time. You can be in one room at a time. You know, how big does your stuff have to be? That's going to be determined by you. But I would suggest that there's probably a middle ground where you could actually be really happy with your material comfort, and also it's some level, at least relative to United States standards, where I'm recording this from, that at least it's still kind of an over the top level of comfort, even if you're going for a mid road comfort here. And yeah, so anyway, that's your rewards. What are the physical rewards and things that you're looking to do? One of the things I do that's on more expensive note is these tattoos, and these are associated with the game. So when I achieve things in the game, I might give myself a trophy like that. But that's kind of expensive compared to like a bottle of juice. So that's got to be a consideration. So all right, you get this basic idea. I want you to start thinking about what you want your life to be like, who you want to be, what characteristics you would have. There's a fun little experiment came from a magic community I was a part of, and it's the book, the magic book experiment, and it goes something like, you suppose you want to train somebody in magic, and you could take in somebody that doesn't do it yet. And you could get a bunch of books and you put them in a cabin and you have them read these books. You assume they would do about the same number of exercises as you might have. What would those books be, and what kind of magician are you creating by those books? Okay. I don't really care about the books, because that'll be stuff that's, as you're building towards it, you'd kind of do it in reverse. You want to start out with, what kind of a magic user do you want to be? Now, I don't know who you are. Who are you? So tell me, I don't know. You could be years into this. You could be minutes into this. I don't know where you are in your quest, and I'd be interested, the folks that tune into this, where are you? What are you doing? What are you trying to achieve? And so we've got these kinds of these kinds of ideas. You got to start with this kind of who the heck you want to be. All right, so what we're really talking about here when we're talking about character and stuff is identity, and the ability of identity to drive a person. Identity is one of the biggest driving forces in a person's life. People will do crazy things to remain consistent with who it is they believe themselves to be, or who they claim to be. There's all kinds of stuff out there on cognitive dissonance and the like. Related to this, we're creating a character here that has these qualities that we're inspired by in some way. And so there's this idea of the alter ego effect. Now, Todd Herman wrote a book, I believe it was actually called that, on this, about how people, famous people, have created these alter egos in order to be able to achieve beyond the skill level they believe themselves to have. Now, this in some way is related to the Neville Goddard concept, the idea of self-concept, which I'll get into in a second. But these are all identity issues. Now, by creating this character in the game, in this over-the-top kind of world, you create this alter ego. And then as you're wandering around in the so-called real world, you can assume that alter ego to do things better. And so there's going to be a weird, twisty relationship between the character in the game and you, the player, because that's kind of the point. The point is to sort of mesh the game world and the outer world. And later on, we'll talk about how you can like use the game to do sympathetic magic and stuff. Some of you that already have a bunch of experience with magic might be able to just jump ahead and guess. Anyway, but so the idea, though, is identity and harnessing identity, and that the ultimate reward is that identity, that self, who you are, who you believe yourself to be. Identity, Neville Goddard, and the self-concept. So the idea with Neville Goddard and the self-concept is that you manifest yourself as the person that has the thing. I'm sure there will be other people out there that say that much better. Good. And so, but the idea is you manifest yourself as a wealthy person, or a person that attracts wealth. Okay. This is my little obsession with luck. Are you lucky? Yes, we'll talk more about that. You can be luckier. You can use magic to become luckier. You can use Richard Wiseman wrote a book, The Luck Factor. Jesus, did I get his name right? And it's all on just using psychological principles to increase your luckiness. But well, what does that do for you in the world out there? And so now back for a minute to Neville Goddard. So the idea is that you know, I am such and such. I am, you know, whatever. And it's always from this perspective of like, what is the world from your perspective? Who are you in that world? Okay, so and that gets to who we are in this world. And yes, that brings us finally to Mrs. Doubtfire. But I think I'm going to want to get a coffee first, so I'm going to pause this.
Listen. But I don't like drinking out of a paper cup. Not for me. So. There we go.
All right, I got my coffee, like in the deal. Let's talk about Mrs. Doubtfire. So Mrs. Doubtfire, the Mrs. Doubtfire problem, I should say, is based on the Mrs. Doubtfire movie. Not that I have this real problem, but in the Mrs. Doubtfire movie, Robin Williams is playing a father who is in the midst of a divorce and wants to be closer to his kids. And so he decides to impersonate a woman, Mrs. Doubtfire, a character he makes up. And in one life, he is Daniel something working at a film warehouse. And in the other life, he is Mrs. Doubtfire, a grandmotherly babysitter type with a Scottish accent. And he's living these two lives. Now, he can't let his soon-to-be ex-wife know that he's Mrs. Doubtfire, nor can he let really anyone else know that he's Mrs. Doubtfire. He's got to make it look like it's all whatever. So like superheroes and things that live secret lives. Drink this before I wind up spilling it on my shirt. That live secret lives, and then they've got these secret identities, right? So the Mrs. Doubtfire problem is a term that came up in a discussion with me and my friend Lindsay Stark, about 5 years ago. If I have her links, I should probably put them in the description. Check the description for links for my friend Lindsay. And and Lindsay and I were talking about the superhero-like problem of living a double life. And I think I'm stealing from Kevin Smith here. The idea that Superman is Superman. He's Kal-El, or whatever his name is. And he's from Krypton. He's an alien. And so Now he's here, and he's got this fake identity, Clark Kent. Clark Kent is his alter ego. Clark Kent, normal guy, can't do much. Superman can fly and do all that stuff. And so a lot of us, when we're going to our normal jobs, I'll call it, whether in an office or a coffee shop or a retail, whatever, hospital, the we have these fake identities. We have our alter ego of our own Clark Kent. I'm Christopher Swift, and I am. But you know, the point is, a lot of times we have to keep our magic life a little bit secret because it hinders our progress in whatever field we're in. And so the field I'm in, hypnosis, there's this this race to prove to everybody you're not a witch and that everything is totally scientific. Okay. Are there scientific explanations for how it works? Kind of. You probably know my stuff on that because I've already talked about certainty and things. But here we go. I'm not a normal person. I am this witchy character. And so when I have to show up there, I feel like I have to pretend. And increasingly, that's been wearing thin. And so I mean, White Rabbit came from the magical game. It's a creation of this game. And I think it's time to haunt it more. But in trying to be both Mrs. Doubtfire and Daniel, whoever, I've been like fighting with one arm tied behind my back. I go over there and I have to pretend I don't do the magic stuff, and then I come over here and I don't have to really pretend anything over here. You all are in. You're in on it. You're the inner circle. You. Who are you? Put it in the comments. All right. So what do you do? What do you do? Okay. So my conclusion on this is I'm gonna let these worlds collide, because in this panopticon world that we're in, it's only a matter of time before you can hide your secret lives anyway. So you might as well just like live it up and be you. And that is my conclusion on it. And so it's bolstered by a little thing that I'll call a magical charge. Although it's from the Gospel of Thomas, an apocryphal text. I love it though. And so some of you might bristle at anything Christian, but whatever, you know, just steal it. Be a pirate. It goes like this. If you bring forth that which is within you, that which you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. And so I'm going to go with this kind of mode of, you know, you do you and express yourself fully and charge the gates. But this is the Mrs. Doubtfire problem that has been weighing me down. And it's been a burden on both of my identities. Anyway, people, I hope you gain some value from this little exercise and struggle of mine, or this concept of the Mrs. Doubtfire problem. Go ahead, let me know. What do you think about all this stuff? If you're Mrs. Doubtfire too, put it in the comments. If you think I'm crazy pants, put that in the comments. But here we are, you know. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What would your character be like in this game world? I should probably give you all something to work with. Any of you who stuck with me through all this, let's talk about the self and how that helps you. You can do magic. Let me back this up. This came from something we worked out. Me and my buddy Nolan were talking about this. Talking about, you know, if you don't have any specific target for your magic right now, what do you do with it? Just to keep, you know, sharp or whatever. Or keep things fun. And one of the things we were talking about was you do magic for your past self. For your past self. And the reason that's cool is that means your future self is always doing magic for you. So if you start that practice today, then your future self is already doing that for you, as long as you continue that practice. So that's a fun little takeaway for this. Do some magic for your past self. Send some Reiki to your past self, or do it, whatever, go be creative. And I guess we should actually talk about magic at some point. We're only a zillion videos in. So I don't know if that's going to be the next one or not, but the next one damn well better be sooner than this one was. So, my friends, my Mrs. Doubtfires is out there. And you all that don't have to Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm jealous. But I'll be there soon. I want to hear from you. I want to collaborate with you and stir things up. Let's conspire in a good way to make this world even more magical, more fun, more playful, and more prosperous. Let's rock. All right, my friends. I think I've flapped on enough for now. Let's see what this winds up being. Seeing you.